I always believe you can't polish poo.
We have Colin Edmonds on the podcast, everyone.
We are building churches that are more come and see rather than go and tell. We need more pastors looking after people rather than pulpits. I am the founder of Truelife, an NPO that works into the education space. Been in ministry for the last 20 years. Been married for 12, nearly 13 years.
Not all church growth is from God.
There's a big concern for me around youth pastors, youth leaders, and ChatGPT. There is a necessary grind to figuring out how am I going to best get people to receive this word.
Many pastors are people pleasers.
None of us want to give feedback. And none of us want to give feedback because we're nervous of the implication of what's going to go on. And so people are holding feedback all over the place. And a lot of that's built on this lack of trust.
Yeah.
Like, what's going to go on? Like, if I tell you something and it stings, like, are you going to just shut me off? Like, are there consequences to this conversation? And so, like, they're ticking time bombs all over the place. When you have a bad leader or altercation or moment, be slower to be a victim that goes, this sucks, and be quicker to be somebody who looks and goes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the In Sync Frequencies podcast. I'm your host, Steve Rutus van Lennep, and today I have a special guest with me, and I'm very excited to introduce him. But just before we get started, if you have not already subscribed or checked out our Patreon, I want to encourage you. We are trying to take this as far as we can, and as you heard from the last episode, I'm going to the States, so any extra financial giving would be greatly appreciated because I don't have a camera, but it's fine. God's going to do something. It's going to be fun and it's going to be amazing. But without any further ado, I have an incredible leader, somebody that I listened to growing up in youth days, somebody who has been a pastor, is still a pastor, and is currently doing great things in the business corporate space. So we have Colin Edmonds on the podcast, everyone. Welcome.
Steve, thank you, man. Just say your surname again because that was a proper surname.
Yeah, so it's Rutus van Lennep.
Okay.
Yeah, lots of people think it's Afrikaans.
It's not. It's what?
It's Dutch.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you got to do two things when you get married. You got to convince the girl that you're the guy and that's the surname.
100%. So this is why my mother says she definitely loves my dad.
Yes.
She took on the surname. But
awesome. Great to be here. Yeah. Just love you. Love what the work you're doing. Excited for the season ahead for you. And thanks for having me.
Awesome. Welcome back, everybody. We are here with Colin Edmonds. As I mentioned, amazing guy. And we're going to hear a bit more about his journey. But before we go into that, we have some unpopular opinion segments.
Awesome.
So I would love to hear your thoughts on whether you're for or against. And you can be as controversial as you want to.
Let's do it.
You can just trigger. I don't know if you've heard the term rage bait. So you can rage bait.
That's also, I haven't. But good to be here.
There we go. So the first one this is church related. Okay. Not all church growth is from God. Yes or no? If so,
just quick yes or no.
No,
hey, no
context. You can dive into it. That's just the statement.
Okay.
There's no context behind that statement.
Okay, give it to me again.
Okay, I'll say it again. Not all church growth is from God.
Okay. So my first initial thought would be I'd be wary to dive into a yes on that statement because of Paul's language that says some are preaching the gospel and their motives are impure, but who cares because the gospel's being preached. So I think I'd be wary on starting to label something as not godly or God's heart. That being said, I do think that some of the numerical growth that we tend to I guess measure success on. I don't know that that's exactly what God is after, as in I think we are building churches that are more come and see rather than go and tell. And I think I think there's a beauty in inviting friends and family and neighbors to church, and I think we should do that for the rest of our lives. But I think what we really should be doing, if growth really looks like growth, I think we should be starting to build a culture of go and tell, which is I don't need my preacher or pastor to share the gospel. I have been equipped with a great commission to go. So to wrap back around on the question, not all church growth is from God. I think if we're talking numerically, I think the answer would be let's look for depth, not just breadth.
Love that. So good. Yep. So good. Wow, for anyone who's taking notes, now's the chance to get your notepad out because we still have 3 more to go. So the first one was that. The second one is this: many pastors are people pleasers.
Okay.
Again, no context.
No, yeah.
So
I think I understand the negative connotation with people pleaser, that we just do whatever people say. But
Yeah.
I'm quite grateful to hear that there would be pastors who want to please, serve, love people. And I think, true pastors are shepherds, and shepherds know their sheep. They know the state of their sheep. They know, they know the season of life, and so. Yeah, I think we need more pastors looking after people rather than pulpits. And I think I actually think that there's been quite a large swing in the church with the mantle of leadership, which is important. There's a place and space for leadership, but man, we need pastors. Pastors are people who know the state of their flocks, who are engaged. And so I don't know if I'm answering the question quite right, but if there are people pleasers, I get the negative connotation that you just do whatever they say.
Right.
But I think just any time the word pastor and people are in the same sentence, we're heading in mostly the right direction.
That's so true. And I think it definitely depends on what you were saying earlier. Like if they're trying to focus on the pulpit more than the people, that's just
sure.
The
pulpit's sacred and needed, and the word of God needs to be preached. But ministry happens Monday to Sunday.
Come on.
So
that's amazing. I'm just trying to get through these swiftly so we can get to the meaty stuff as we go.
So is that like a code for speed up your answers?
No, it is not. It's just code for, I hope you're enjoying this unpopular opinion segment.
I'm enjoying it.
And also saying that if you do want to speak, go for it. But I know that there is so much more in store. So the second one, so this is not related to church. This is just in the context of being a speaker or communication. And it starts with this: a standing ovation doesn't always mean you nailed it.
Okay. Well, let's talk firstly from a preaching side of things.
Yes, go for it.
And then I'll move to the other side. I think there's a song that was around long before you were maybe even born. Maybe you know it. But it's a song that speaks about living for an audience of one. And I think and it's a worship song, and it's a beautiful song, and it's really cultivated the way that I try and do ministry, and that is like that applause, that audience needs to be an audience of one. So if heaven's standing, if the Father's happy, then whatever's happening in the room, they could be standing, there could be innovation, there could be a real excitement in the room, and but we just got to make sure like our positioning and our motive around preaching is about preaching to an audience of one. Just because the room is standing and cheering, I guess we live in a world that in some ways it's fairly easy to move people. It's like, one-liners and, whatever, rage bait and, whatever. It's just, it's almost easy to trigger guys positively or negatively, and but we want to be about substance when we're sharing the word of God. And so, I know we were chatting briefly before around
go for it.
Can we go youth
for
pastor?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is, and we spent a lot of time together, in youth ministry, and then we ran a youth pastor program at some stage that it was a privilege to have you on. There's a big concern for me around youth pastors, youth leaders, and ChatGPT, AI, and I use ChatGPT all the time, both in ministry, business, and in our NPO. I'm a big believer that we're going to move with the times.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like our parents' generation sticking with the encyclopedias and not moving to Google. Okay, so we got to move. But the concern for me would be, I was putting a sermon together showing another youth pastor the other day, and you can whip a sermon together with its preaching notes and its group notes and its parents and its social media campaign in under 5 minutes with graphics. Okay, under 5 minutes. Problem is, if you think about one, and I use ChatGPT to help me. I do. In my preaching, I use it. But I always believe you can't polish poo, and so it depends what you put in. Firstly, but if you think from a preaching side, like a grape is the starting point of good wine, But unless there's pressing and crushing,
Come on.
like you won't actually get, and it's like a continual pressing and crushing. So even a sermon that I'm preparing for this Sunday, like I'm looking at the scriptures that are part of it, and even though they might have been suggested by ChatGPT at some stage in the process, and I'd encourage you not to go too soon to ChatGPT. I think first quiet space, then allow your creativity, then allow, and then use it at some stage. But all the scriptures that ChatGPT suggested are scriptures that I know for the last 20 years. They have been pressed and crushed. And so my concern is that a youth pastor gets up and they can preach a better sermon than I can. But what's the substance? Like, and so we got to see ChatGPT as literally, it's just a grape. But like the wine is through the crushing and the pressure, and if you're not going to do the hard work, man, that anointing, so I know I've deviated.
No, keep going. It's good.
No, that's just, something I think we need to be aware of is that it can look good. And I guess that's back to the audience of one and the celebration and so for young guys prepping sermons, old guys prepping sermons, man, like there were times I preached sermons on a Friday that were fairly abysmal. Like it was like, I don't know, Friday afternoon.
That's hard for me to imagine because of how anointed and gifted you are. But I mean, we all start somewhere, I suppose.
You're very kind, and I will. But if I showed you my preaching notes, the gift is I've kept all my preaching notes.
Oh, really? Wow.
From whatever 15 or 20 years ago.
That's amazing.
And I look and I'm like, what is what is what is this?
God, did you use this?
So look, I'm grateful because God did. But I just want to encourage young guys, like, it's not about sounding good. It's not about a standing ovation. It's about an audience of one. And there are ways to move the heart of God that moves the heart of man. But it's in the wrestle. It's in the quiet space. It's in the pressing and the crushing.
That's so powerful. And I just to add to what you said about ChatGPT, we've mentioned it once or twice on the podcast before, but I think people can say powerful words, but nobody feels the power behind those words if it's fabricated in 5 minutes of just typing it into ChatGPT. So like you're saying, there's no, not only is there no substance, but there's no presence from the person delivering that information because it hasn't been experienced, it hasn't been lived out. It's the difference between someone telling me about war and a veteran coming from war, it's
totally
massive. So I think that's extremely profound.
Totally. And there's a gift for the church.
Yes.
Because the world is going to get more and more artificial and plastic.
Wow.
And we have such a gift to go, this is authentic. This is real. Look at, like, Paul writes, he's like, I have the wounds, the stripes of, like, sharing the gospel, And so for us as well, I think be very careful in youth ministry in particular, that you don't start building and cultivating a culture that looks for a ChatGPT preach.
Come on.
And it's tempting, man. It's because like you sound good and builds your ego and it's like well preached and you're like, but I want to pastor well. If I want to pastor well, it means that I got to preach substance.
So
I don't need to preach one-liners or like the best, whatever. So yeah, let's go. Let's continue. Hopefully that was some.
I mean, I could continue on that, but maybe before we go any further, I think we'll keep the unpopular opinion
cool
there because I think you kind of answered the second one. I'll say it just for the sake of saying it, which is you can be too polished.
Oh yeah. I mean, authenticity trumps everything. People connect with you. There's a great saying that says that people admire your strengths, but they connect with your weaknesses.
Yes.
And I guess, and we'll probably get into this later around communication, and I'm really passionate around communication. So I think that there is a necessary grind to figuring out how am I going to best get people to receive this word, and how am I going to communicate well? And so if the polish is for others, that's amazing. But the polish is for you, it's a disaster. Wow. So I think you can have an absolutely excellent sermon that is well polished, that is deeply anointed.
Yes.
But you can have both the opposites as well. You can have a polished sermon that is rubbish and that actually doesn't hold the presence of God. You can also have a very unpolished sermon, as in you haven't worked really hard at it, and God's given us, think about the recipe. Like if you think about putting a cake together, like we've been given the best ingredients in the whole world, but like to be able to deliver this message, this food, but we want to create something that honors the ingredients, and not just use the ingredients as a excuse not to work hard or cultivate our communication gift. But I think that may be coming later. So let's move on.
Every time you answer, I'm like, wow, we can totally. Okay, we still haven't even gotten to who you are and what you do. So maybe for anyone listening,
cool. Yeah. 25 minutes in. Hi.
Hi.
My name's Bill.
But for those listening, I did give a brief summary before. But can you maybe just like you did earlier off cam, I think that would really help people just have a little more context.
Awesome. So, Cole is the name. And probably the who I am, the relationship other than Jesus that identifies me the most is my wife. I've been married for 12, nearly 13 years.
Come on.
She's wonderful, Italian girl. Real joy, my rock, my safe place. We actually had maybe a podcast for another day, but we had a really, really tough first couple of years of marriage. We nearly ducked and quit on it many times. Probably her more than me because of me. And just learning to love and serve each other. And we're still learning to love and serve each other. We don't get it right every day, but she's such a gift to me. And then we have three delights, our three kids. Emma Milan, our oldest. She's just about to turn 9.
Whoa,
and
that's crazy.
And then Roman Judah is 6, and then Orlando Justice is 4. And they are a joy. Best, hardest thing I've ever done, parenting. I absolutely love it. Like I can't understand why a parent would want to be absent. I understand that like we all may have had absent parents and there may be legitimate reasons, but
of course.
But what a joy. Like what a joy to be in their worlds and to love and serve and raise them in the ways of God. So those would be the three kind of those would be the two relationships that really define me. Obviously, wonderful friends and church and family, wider family. And then I wear 3 hats. In its simplest form. I am the founder of Truelife, an NPO that works into the education space. We are involved in about 300 schools a year. Amazing. A variety of things we're doing. A remarkable team in place. I do very little. I arrive, cheer them on, and just keep the culture and vision. They're just remarkable human beings. Really remarkable human beings. So that's the NPO, and then been in ministry for the last 20 years, 18 years at one local church, 15 of those a youth pastor. Wow. And then we really felt a nudge of God to step out. We've started an online church, which is a beautiful, complex thing that maybe we might speak into at a later stage. And then lastly, I really felt a nudge of God to step into the corporate space, and so we run a staff development training company, business coaching, consulting, courses. So those would be the 3 hats.
That's amazing. I'm just thinking of Truelife off the bat.
Cool.
How and why?
Cool. Yeah.
Why Truelife?
Yeah.
Why reaching 300 schools?
Yeah.
And what was the God birth purpose that you felt in your heart as a director of Truelife?
Totally. So rewind the clock 14 years. I had been a youth pastor for a couple of years, watching these kids walk in on a Friday night. What a gift that we get to parent, love, serve, pastor, lead a group of people that are entrusting their very mostly broken and very much being formed lives and identities. And so we went into a church 5-day fast, and on the 5th day I really felt God speaking to me on a variety of ways, but basically like you need to have a bigger vision than just what's happening here on a Friday night. In fact, you need to go to the broken. You can't wait for them to come to church. Like it's mission critical. Like the church has got to go. And so that was the birth of Truelife as an idea, just basically like aim for the pain. Like let's just get out and see how do we engage with this generation. couple of other thoughts that may be controversial, but we really feel quite strongly around this thought of disciple a generation before they saved. So
Wow.
let me explain that, because
please
that can
do. That
sound
sounds very good.
well, it can sound heretical. So let's.
Well, I think I'm hearing it through the context
okay.
it should be heard,
Okay,
but
so
maybe for those who don't
sure.
hear in that context.
So I think there's no doubt that to find salvation is you've got to meet Jesus, you've got to make him your Lord and Savior, you've got to surrender your life. So there's no circumventing that step. But I think often what happens is the ways of God, the principles of God, we wait until somebody comes into our church, gets saved, and then show them. So we wanted to take the truth of God, the Word of God, to the streets, and we actually believe that God, we know the scriptures say God has placed eternity in the heart of every person.
Yes.
And so there's something in everybody that's waiting to, and when it hears the soundtrack, the rhythm, of heaven, we believe it comes alive. And so we wanted to get into these schools and start to share some stuff. So we got a very covert strategy. We don't necessarily go there and say we're from a church, but we take everything that's on the heart of God. So we speak strongly into purity, identity. We tackle a whole bunch of topics around leadership, gender-based violence, bullying, mental health, etc., basically wherever there's pain. And so for us, that was the start of us going, take the city, like let's believe. And now it's take the country, and now we're starting to see things outside the country.
Let's go.
It's beautiful. We want to be so entrenched in the education mountain that we become a voice, that we become a guide and a direction to the Department of Education, to the independent schools, to every school, and even the 300 that we talk about. Like, we're grateful for the impact, but there's 6,000 schools in KZN, so we got a long way to go. We got a very, very long way to go. That was the dream. And then I managed to, in year one, con a whole bunch of friends and tell them to come work for us for a year where we won't pay you a salary, but God sees. And then after that year, almost all of them left. Very grateful for them. And because we had very little success. And then I think we went to 6 schools in the whole year. 365 days in a year, so like it's a very we can go into what were some of the hindrances. I think the main hindrances is we know what we're doing.
Okay, fair enough.
And schools didn't care about a fly by night who thought they were going to come save the world, like, you know. So those are all fair and valid. So they all left, and then I had to con a whole bunch of new friends, and I don't have that many friends, so like this was difficult because the first year I'm like, it's going to work. The second year I'm like, it didn't work last year. But
it could work this year.
Anyways, I think for the first 3, 4, 5 years, there were some staff who never got a salary. I kind of wish, in some ways, when I look back, I wish that wasn't the case. Like, I think that church and ministry and NPO can lean a little too hard on that at times. I think we should honor guys for their time. And
when you say lean on that, could you just clarify?
I think there's a fine line here between calling people to serve, and basically asking them to do something maybe we wouldn't do.
Okay.
And so it's always in the name of Jesus. We need to be careful that we never use that as a manipulative way to coerce somebody into doing something.
It's so good.
And I certainly don't think it was my motivation, but I also got to take responsibility that these are young guys, and if there is a way to look after them. So I'm very happy to tell you that our 24 staff now are all paid staff. In fact, we've worked really, really hard to head in a direction. We're not quite there. That our salaried staff, which is all 24, would have salaries that are equivalent to a similar position in a corporate space.
That's amazing.
I'm such a strong believer that the work in the NPO world is the most important work.
Wow.
And so if it's the most important work, we need the best people. The best people aren't necessarily going to come to you if you're going to pay them the least amount of money. And so I think that you can absolutely do things with pure motives and still be paid well. And so anyways, the on the flip side, it was a beautiful story of people sacrificing and building something, and there's such an honor from the guys who now get to stand on the shoulders of those who sacrificed so much.
That's amazing. gosh, there's so much. I'm like navigating the conversation, but in terms of the best people for the best jobs to reach, those in pain and in need.
Yes.
Do you think that a lot of people would work for an NPO if the financial backing of equivalence to a corporate would be there?
Yeah, I do. I think sometimes we over spiritualize things.
Yeah.
And look, I'll tell you this. In my ministry time, when I wasn't in the corporate space, and I was paid really well, and so this is not any victim kind of thought, but there were friends of mine that were making a lot more money than I was, and we went to varsity together, and so just their career trajectory and what like their opportunities allowed them to, and but I will tell you that I saw miracle upon miracle upon miracle in my life. Our home that we bought we got it for about half of what it was valued at. Like just multiple miracles. Just blessing over our kids and school fees and all sorts of things. So if you are in a place right now, corporate or ministry, where your salary isn't enough, like our salary and our boss or employee is not our provider.
Yeah,
they are one of the slice of cake. Like, if I had to look at like the home that we live in now, even if I got the increase that I thought would be a wild increase, it still would have taken me years to make up what God made in like one moment. Good, and so to answer your question, do I think the best people would come if there was equivalent corporate salaries? Yeah, I do. I think that there's a fine line as well. I think that we've got to be careful, because in the NPO and ministry space, you're dealing with particularly in the NPO space, you're dealing with people's money, and so you don't want to be exorbitant. And there's quite a whole nother side of the story, and it's certainly not in any of the NPO worlds that we know, but like where guys use and abuse the funds that are given to them, and so people are nervous of that, and they want transparency, and they want to know that like you're not pocketing all this cash. It's actually meant for the kids that are in the education department. So it's a tension that we got to manage, but I think it's the most important work. We need the best people. Why can't we believe God for the best salaries?
100%. So good. And I think even within that, you are also trusting for not just the best people in terms of skill, but the best people in terms of hearts and values of what that NPO stands for and everything.
Totally. And that in and of itself is an interesting one that we're actually navigating right now as an NPO. Because Bill Harbels, leader of the GLS, I know you know him well, personally actually. Yeah.
well, not quite there yet. Maybe you are. I don't know.
So he says that basically there are three things when he looks at hiring somebody. It's character, competency, and chemistry. So character, like who are you, and then chemistry, how well do you work with people, and then competency, how good are you at the job. And I think the corporate world goes strong on competency.
Yes.
And I think the NPO and church world goes strong on character.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, you're a really nice guy, we're going to give you a job. And that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because you got to be competent. You got to actually freaking do the job. And like we have to stop just employing nice people. And actually you're doing the person no service, because if they get something for something that they didn't have to work hard for, it's going to come to bite them anyways in 5-10 years time. And then they're going to be like, oh well, there's no promotion, there's no career advancement, no one else wants to employ them. And so I think particularly like in church and NPO, like we just got to raise the bar on competency. Go like, man, we're doing the best work. So politely go away and come back when you've got some skill to offer. And Steve, like the world that young people are growing up in, they can access pretty much anything. It drives me nuts as somebody who looks at, and I love the next generation. I've given my life for them. I mean, pretty much everybody we employ at Truelife are Gen Zs, guys who are between 18 and 25, freaking amazing human beings.
Absolutely.
But I'm like, man, you guys can be anything. Choose, like it just, but like skill yourself. Like you've got, I once heard Judah Smith, who was one of my kind of mentors from a distance.
Yes.
And he walked into his dad's office as a youth pastor, and he was like just complaining because he's like, it's freaking just too much, and I'm burnt out, and there's so much going on, and I don't know how to handle it. And his dad looked at him, senior pastor at the time, and said, Judah, this is the least busy you will ever be for the rest of your life. And that is true of, I would say, most guys who are under 25. Like you will have less time for the rest of your life. The most tiring 4 hours of my life happen between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. when my kids get up, and then 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. And so I have, if you have an 8-hour job, I have another half-day job every time I get home. And so, and then there's the pressure and the thoughts of leadership that's sitting on your head. And so you're like in tomorrow's world and people problems. And so my point is that you got time. It's a massive gift. You should be using it. You should be doubling down. You should be, every young person should be pushing the next generation because they've got all these skills that they want to just serve and offer. So yeah, I can't even remember what the original question was, but
I was thinking about
good people, character, competency.
Yeah.
So we need to. I don't know. It's like I've always known the three. It's just been an epiphany moment the last little bit is to go like, I want to hire A people because the job requires it.
Yes,
it just does. It needs great people.
Yeah,
willing to do whatever, but bring their best, and their best should be something that can serve the mission.
Yeah. That's so good. Gosh, there's so many different realms of thought, but do you feel with what's it, chemistry, competency, and character?
Yeah.
Do you feel like for church you would say it's the character and chemistry side, and then for corporate you'd say it's the competency?
I think that's the
mainly
leading point. I think that we should. I think even in I mean the work that I'm now doing in the corporate space is because there's rubbish chemistry and guys there's conflict and there's lack of feedback and people lack confidence and courage and honor and value, and so I think you can hire the best. We always say you hire for hard skills, but you sit in the slow lane for soft skills. So like you're like, I hired a Ferrari. Why has he got his hazards on in the emergency lane? And the reason is often because of the soft skills. Is because we've gone and said you're a freaking amazing accountant or you're the best sales guy. But people don't like you in the staff room. You bring a culture here that just doesn't build any kind of trust or belief or hope or honor or whatever. So I think that's the lean, but I think that NPOs and churches would do themselves favors by going, how good's your competency? And I'm not actually there's a good saying that says hire for attitude and train for skill. So I would still agree with that statement.
But you add a third one.
Yeah, well, I would go, now I'd say you have an awesome attitude. Go and get an awesome skill. Like, give me something. Bring something to the table here. Like, and so but on the corporate side, it's the competency is obviously important. You have to do your job, and that's when you send through CVs or you see job profiles or in interviews. Guys spend most of their time asking on the hard skill side, but we should actually be going, well, let's talk about the other side, because you're going to work with people. Unless we're locking you up in a cupboard and you're just crunching numbers, then go for it, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's really good. And obviously you mentioned you've given your life for this generation, and you've seen them come through and work in Truelife. And you mentioned it now, like there's the hard skills and the soft skills, but you actually specialize as well a little bit in the corporate side now, diving to that side and communication. And obviously you can touch on it a bit more. But what are some of the most common things you're seeing or issues when it comes to soft skills? Maybe you can do like a comparison in a healthy context of church and corporate in terms of the soft skills. Do you feel like one side is a bit better than the other? Do you feel like one is super strong at the cost of another? What are you seeing and what are you having to help people with in that journey? Yeah,
that's a good question. I don't know how well I'm going to be able to answer the comparison thing, but let me try and get there. You could even start with the corporate and then go from there. I think the thing I'm seeing in both spaces that is interesting and very difficult is that trust whether that's like I trust my boss, I trust my colleague, or I trust my pastor, or trust is something that is the currency of leadership, the currency of the future, and the last 5 years have not helped that.
Sure.
It's just so divided and divisive, and whichever side of the fence you sit on in politics, or on wars, or on COVID, or on vaccines, or on whatever, and it's exhausting, and so people just go, I just don't know. Like the trust barometer is way down. People, so back in the day, and I'm sounding old here, but there would be a handshake and that was agreement. And now you sign 1,000 forms and you're still not sure. Like, have I sold my kidney? I'm just trying to get a Vodacom contract. Like, so I think trust is interesting, and we tend to apply predictive trust, which is the idea of like, I know Steve and therefore I'm going to trust him. I've seen him do this repeatedly, therefore I know I can or can't trust him. But we've got to build vulnerability-based trust, and vulnerability-based trust is essentially putting a bit of risk in the equation, because you don't necessarily know based on behavior. But what you're doing is you're starting people at a 10 out of 10. And not a 1 out of 10. So what you're doing here is you're saying every Monday, I am increasing the trust barometer right back up. It's full. Now, I'm not saying that if somebody continually breaks your trust, that there's an accountability, that there's consequences. But I think what most of the world is doing, church and corporate, is they putting you at a 1 and they're making you earn your trust. And that is very, very difficult, because I'm going to let you down. It's just no doubt. Like, you're going to let me down. Like, the closer we are, the more we work together, it's going to be days and times that I'm going to let you down. And so if I have to work from 1 to 10, and let's say I over a course of a month, I let you down twice, and I only do well 6 times, then I'm at a 4. 6 up, 2 down. But if you put me at a 10, even if I mess up twice, I'm still at an 8. That's so I think one of the things that and if you think about things like conflict resolution, feedback, delegation, communication, all the things that are required, that everybody wants, think about feedback. Like, when somebody does it well, gives you good feedback, you're so grateful. You're so grateful.
That's so true.
You're like, unless you're a raging narcissist, you want feedback.
It helps you.
It's like, flip, I'm so grateful, thank you, even if it like ticked you off for a moment,
stings a
you're
little.
like, give me that thing. But none of us want to give feedback, and none of us want to give feedback because we're nervous of the implication of what's going to go on. And so people are holding feedback all over the place, and a lot of that's built on this lack of trust. Like, what's going to go on? Like, if I tell you something and it stings, like, are you going to just shut me off? Like, are there consequences to this conversation? And so, like, they're ticking time bombs all over the place, where people, because of this trust currency, that has taken a real knock. The gift is vulnerability-based trust takes no skill. It just takes vulnerability. And that's just an extension of yourself to say, okay, man, you did let me down last week. We're going to have a chat about that. I'm going to give you feedback. We're going to have some conflict around this. But that doesn't change that I trust you.
That's so powerful. And I'm just thinking how that ties into even the being competent as well. But those soft skills, because I think what I'm noticing more and more, like in the kind of like 18 to 30 space, is it's highly relational, like very, very, very relational. And it's just, I'm sure you've heard it before, John Maxwell, you can't lead someone that you haven't connected with.
Totally.
And what I think some businesses, maybe even churches sometimes, like, not to tell, I love the church, but I think,
me too.
You do see it as they value the person for their function over what they bring as a person and the value they add in terms of presence, not necessarily just contribution physically. And in the context of that, do you feel like you learned a lot of these skills? Because you were a youth pastor for many years. Many years. And I admire your journey in the fact that you even got a whole bunch of us together doing your incredible course, and you gave us a little bit of a Speak Like a Boss, which was incredible. But maybe you could touch on the fact that, well, I don't know if it's fact, but do you feel like God taught you a lot of these things in the context of your youth pastor years? And if so, like, what are some of the origin stories of these things for you?
Yeah, sure. Great question. I think you learn most when things don't go well. Like, and you have choices to make in those moments, whether it's you that didn't do it well or somebody else didn't do it well to you, and you go, I don't want to be a leader like that. Or I saw how the impact of that, that happened. Look, one of the things that, and it's an interesting tension to get right here with youth pastors is you need young youth pastors because they're relevant and they're cool and they're connected and they, and guys look up to them. And I think there's a real gift in that.
Absolutely.
But as I look back on like the multiple mistakes that I made on the backs of kids and youth leaders and people that maybe didn't deserve me to not be a transform leader or somebody who understands trust or somebody who knows how to do conflict or somebody. So that's the tension, is that like, it's not necessarily age, but like you haven't had the experience to go like, so in some ways I learned by all the mistakes that I made, maybe by those that made them around me. And look, one of the things is when you are a youth pastor, you generally, most of the youth pastors that I know don't have a paid staff. Yeah. So their entire operating system is based on how do I treat you and look after you so that you would look after people. Wow. And so you don't pay them a salary. You can't give them a bonus at the end of the year. You don't get to like pull them in and grade them on a Monday morning on their KPIs. Like you have to figure out, how do I motivate these guys to serve these guys? Yes. And so I guess I changed track at some stage. Some of it was just me getting older, but like I was like, hold on, if I look after these guys, they'll look after those guys. And hopefully you start to pattern what that looks like: care, concern, consideration. And so I think there's just so much that's learned in the trenches. And when you have a bad leader or altercation or moment, be slower to be a victim that goes, this sucks, and be quicker to be somebody who looks and goes, okay, this does suck. I don't want to be the one giving this kind of feeling to anyone else. Right. Because people remember how you made them feel a lot longer. And that like, so when stuff happens to you, and it will, particularly as young people, let's be quick to let that be a learning as to who we want to be, rather than an offense to who somebody else is, whether that's somebody on your team, your team, leading you. So I would just say, like, a lot of what I learned was because I didn't have the motivation or the ability to use money as a motivation. So you got to find another way. Yeah. And some of that is a sense of belonging, and some of that is a sense of value. Yeah. Some of that is just recognizing, you know what, man, like, I would love you to be deeply committed and dedicated to youth ministry, but I also want you to pass your exams. So I'm going to call a 3-month timeout on you as a youth leader. Wow. And you come back when you've cracked those things, because this is bigger. You are bigger than you as a youth leader. Yeah. And I think that's quite difficult. I got that like horrifically wrong as a young youth pastor. Like, youth was the main thing. Right. Yeah. And a lot of that was like not bad motives. And
okay, we back. Okay, motive. Good. That's where we were.
Yeah. So I don't think it was. I don't think the motive was insincere or vindictive, or it was just probably needed somebody to come alongside me and go, man, these are people. Wow. Like, love them, serve them, because they'll replicate that. And so, lots of learnings over the years. Yes. There were definitely some things that we got right, and they were beautiful days as I look back on them. But to answer your question, where did the soft skills side of things develop? Yes. I think if you honor people, you look after people, they take care of profit, whatever profit looks like for you, whether that's church, NPO, or corporate. And so
well said, yeah.
there's more than enough study out there to show that when people feel honored, seen, valued, man, they'll go the extra mile. And you want to create cultures and environments that people want to come to.
Yeah.
I see my staff more than I see my kids. That's a wild thought.
That's crazy, yeah.
So best we create environments that people go, man, I love these oaks. Sometimes I'm irritated, but we have honest conversations, and then we get back on the bus together, So, yeah.
That's so good. And in the context of being a youth leader, maybe you could, maybe if you're happy to share, maybe what's one of the struggles that like God had to really help you overcome in the context of a youth leader. Just because I'm conscious of the fact that there are quite a few youth leaders who choose to watch the podcast or listen to the podcast, and how God helped you navigate through that, just as an encouragement to show them like you were there. How many years did you do youth leadership again?
So as a youth pastor, 15 years.
15 years. So 15 years of experience, from inexperienced to very experienced. Maybe just one or two key ones that you really had to kind of navigate through, and kind of remind the youth leaders of today, hey, you're only human, but
totally.
Like you said earlier, you've got to learn from it, take it and run with it, and start to transform into the newer version.
So this is so much easier said than done, but make sure you're measuring right. Like, I mean, my two main, I'm very A-type. I want to succeed. I want every night to be the best night in the whole world. Like, it's just not going to happen. Like, it's just not going to. Not every Friday night is going to be the best night. Like a fellow youth pastor said to me at some stage, he was like, there's always next Friday. And like in some ways, and I don't mean to take away from excellence or do things well, but like, man, that's also okay. Like, we're building today. It's just a brick. Like, let's not like.
That's good. Yeah.
And so I think just measure right. I would just so often measure on like numbers and vibe. And I'd tell everyone I didn't, but like I really
internally
I really did. Like, I'd always find a 5 minute, like go and find a bathroom and be bummed out, and then like sort out my attitude and get back out. So I think that's real to do that, but just the measurability is did we have a significant conversation with somebody? Did we love? Were people seen? Were they heard? How did our youth leaders feel at the end of the night? Did they feel like, sure, they might have sacrificed, but did they feel like they were also seen and heard? So that would be something. Look, I think one of the things that I saw in youth ministry, and somebody would ask, like, what is the one thing you would say? I would say two things you need: time and passion. We were talking before, it takes like 3 years as a youth pastor to even know what you're doing. So and look, some people are going to do it for a shorter season. I don't think there's a right or wrong like way to do it.
I don't think so either.
But what I know to be true in the 15 years that I did it is that there were guys who came, wanted to see revival, and then were gone after 6 months. The average lifespan of a youth pastor in South Africa is 6 months to 2 years.
That's crazy.
And so they weren't willing to put in the time. And then I saw youth pastors willing to put in the time, but they lost the passion. And you just got to have both. You just got to show up every single Friday. Like, this is the last Friday you're ever going to be a youth pastor. And remind yourself of what the first Friday felt like, with all the nerves and the excitement and the faith in your heart. And so time and passion. It's the gospel and everything God asks us to do is not, it's not complex. It's not always easy. Like, sometimes it takes deep sacrifice, but it's not complex, love people. Another thought would be, you cannot give what you haven't received. So you cannot give to your youth leaders if you haven't been spending time in the presence of God. And there's that wild statement that says people have become full-time ministry, part-time followers of Jesus. And like, that is because of the pace and the machine and sometimes even the monster of ministry. I mean, Sundays and Fridays are relentless,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
they come around every 7 days. They never take a break. They're there again, and so we can start to spend a lot of time like oiling the machine, instead of going like, I just need to spend time with Jesus. I need to be with my Father. And so, those would be a couple of my thoughts. There's some days that it's freaking difficult. I wanted to quit so many times. I guess in the end of the day, the question always to be asked is not how do I feel, but what does he say?
Yeah, that's so powerful and so good. I was just thinking now, I remember hearing a preach, and it was basically saying, it's okay to feel like you want to quit. Even Jesus wanted to quit,
totally.
know, Father, take this cup from me,
Totally.
This big moment. Yeah. And I think a lot of the time we forget that, and some youth pastors actually feel guilty for wanting to quit.
No.
They start to have that guilty kind of conscience.
No.
And
I mean, to your point, like, somebody said the other day to me, if parenting isn't hard, you're not doing it right.
Yes.
So like, it's so easy to just like, let the kids watch TV and but like, and the same thing for youth ministry. Like, it's hard means something good is happening, and so when you want to quit and when you want to like, man, just get right people around you, but that's totally normal.
It's also, I just think of the scripture that says, faith without works is dead, and I think often sometimes in maybe the beginning of believers' journeys, they kind of think, put my hands up, ask the Lord, and it'll just happen. Was that like a big realization for like a lot of people on team, or have you seen that maybe in the context of training youth pastors recently? What's that dynamic kind of been like? Because you gotta do it. You can't just I'm doing it in faith, sitting on my butt, not doing anything. That's not faith. That's wishful thinking.
Totally. I mean, there's a reason that he calls us co-laborers, co-workers. Like, so it's don't go and do it on your own. But man, you best you get working. Yeah. Like the idea that do not be unequally yoked, obviously is used in the context of relationships, which is important. But if you think about being yoked, the idea is to be yoked to Jesus. He's the strong ox. So yes, he carries, but you're still going through the freaking vineyard or whatever it is you're doing with the strong ox. Like, I don't know, like, I know you've done some running. Like, I've done some running with guys who are much stronger than me. And like, you're just trying to just keep up, man.
Yep.
And so, again, I'm not saying to get out of a rhythm of grace, but what I am saying is we need to work hard. Like, it's worth it. Like, the kingdom of God is, there's a lot of play, man. There's a lot of play, and there are people's lives on the other side of us and our decisions and our choices. God honors every bit of sacrifice, there's no doubt about it. But the context, the scriptures are littered with people who said, less of me, more of him. That said, I sacrifice, I must decrease, so he must increase. Like, so we can't let the culture move us away. It's anything worth doing is going to be hard.
Yeah, no, it's really, really good. I'm just thinking how, I remember being in school, and obviously like everyone was, I grew up at his church, and I came to the school here for many years. I only shifted to Karo in my last 2 years of school. Didn't you go to TMC?
I went to TMC. Yeah. My kids go to Karo now.
Wow.
And I was saying to you just before, it's like a full circle. Like 20 years ago, I was in a room just down there doing Bible college. So grateful for those years. But yeah, back to you. You were saying.
So one thing I noticed is a big thing, and maybe you can touch on it as well. But one of my favorite topics of all time is is leadership. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. Not in the context of what maybe it could be perceived when I say that, is not to be seen, but the art of like coming alongside people and serving people. But I remember being in school and everyone electing prefects at the time. They call them custodians now. And one of the biggest things I noticed is the first thing I realized is leadership in your own strength sucks. Just realized first term I thought, what am I doing? This is terrible. I want to quit. And then the second, I remember from there, I was like, God, I'm done. And he just kind of said, okay, well, we let me take the reins now. I was
Awesome.
like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'd rather be humbled here in this moment.
Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to get at is I also learned a lot about leadership and leading teams and stuff like that. And I'm still learning every day. But from that point, I remember realizing that people desire the title of leadership and not what comes with the cost of leadership. And so maybe you could talk about what are some of the costs in leadership that you've had to endure, specifically in the context of your transition, because you did youth pastoring for 15 years.
Yep.
You were was that youth pastor and then into
the journey looked like youth pastor, and in between part of that time I led Year of Your Life program. So we had like 10 years of that. Well, it still goes on, but I moved out of the house. I lived with over 100 people from like 20 different countries over that time. So also, I mean, you talk about how do you learn soft skills. That's like
there we go.
Yeah, there we go. Like different culture, context, like amazing.
Yes.
And 24/7. Like
that's
honestly, you want a
discipleship
baptism of fire. Go and be a Year of Your Life leader where you live with a whole bunch of guys.
You just have to love every person.
My days. Anyways, thank God for His grace.
A hug and a slap at the same time.
So I did that, and then obviously we're pastoring in the church as well. And then my wife and I moved into associate pastor roles and elder roles at the church for probably about 3 or 4 years. Awesome. So that's the kind of context. Yeah.
So from that point into now online church as well currently. Sozo online church.
Correct. Yep.
And just what in the context of shifting from in-person to online, and it could maybe touch to corporate, but maybe let's talk about the online space. Yeah. Like how's the leadership cost shifted for you in that regard? So now, and maybe you could give context as to that leap of faith for you guys.
Yeah, sure. Awesome. I mean, so many different ways to answer that question. Quick thought around leadership. Somebody once told me leadership is a lifetime of tough conversations.
Wow.
It's not a sexy invite.
Yeah.
But it's so true. Like, and you know, every time I don't want to deal with something, engage in something, I've got this like voice in my head. I think it was from a GLS that's like, is there a leader in the house? Because every time you don't have a tough conversation, every time you don't hold accountable, everybody else on staff's like, why is nobody engaging in this? Like, how are they letting this happen?
Yeah.
And so, leadership is a lifetime of tough conversations. It can be a lonely, heavy mantle at times to wear. So that would be kind of around the leadership stuff, and maybe we can come back to that.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Online church, what a wild ride we've been going for the last year.
Come on.
Not in a million years after COVID, when we had to do church online, would have I thought that we would be doing this? And I feel like I'm right back at youth pastor days, like, oh God, I want to quit. Like, this is so hard. Like, is this even worth it? Like, freaking no one's come, you know? Like, I remember standing as a youth pastor, like, I'd stand and look out the window to see if the cars would drive in.
Right.
And like, when like hardly any cars came in. And now, same thing for us on online church. It's really small right now. It's an incredible, beautiful, complex gift and ministry that we get to lead. The context is two things. One, what we like to phrase as the burden that God gave us, and two, the vision that is still very much unfolding. And the burden sits around, for us, many people we were having conversations with. So we stepped out of full-time ministry and didn't really know what the next step was going to be. And then we started to feel like God speak to us, because we're engaging with a lot of friends that were have immigrated and are in places around the world where, man, there isn't a church, there isn't an English-speaking church, there isn't a church they connect with, or for some of them, they're unable to get to a church. Some of them even maybe but hurt or offended by church and like not wanting to return. And so that was a like burden we're wrestling with, going like, God, like, who looks after these guys?
People,
like, what, like, what's the context here? And that can be anywhere. That can be somebody who's working on a yacht. That can be somebody who's on a night shift. That can be somebody who, is stuck in a hospital. That can be that's the burden. The vision for us is that each one of these guys who tune in online would start to open up their homes and see the gospel go. And so that hasn't quite happened like we would have hoped at this stage, not for lack of effort, not because we don't have the most remarkable people who are, but like it just hasn't materialized yet. So we just keep going. But yeah, I think in many ways the online is a gift, and we're wanting to maximize that opportunity, but there's still something really special and sacred about human beings being in a room together. So that being said, I will hit the pause button and tell you, so our kind of flow of online churches, worship, which is like YouTube songs that everyone just turns off their cameras and on mute, because otherwise it would be disaster. So it's a live platform, Zoom, everybody jumps on. You might think it's comfortable, but you're sitting front row.
There's no hiding.
There's no hiding. You're not sitting in the back corners. And so worship into the word, and then we do digital groups. And those digital groups have been epic. And so in many ways, we actually have friends who used to be in our home group, in our home for 2 or 3 years, and they are part of Online Church from Ireland. And they're like, look, Cole, to be honest, there is more depth and relationship and connection happening here in these digital spaces than there was in your home. And I think some of that's because of a hunger or an urgency or desperation to go, I want spiritual growth, I want spiritual community, and there isn't anything here. So we got people from Portugal, Belgium, Germany, England, Ireland. We've got somebody tuning in from Saudi Arabia. She's works on as a medic on the helicopters. So it's cool, man. Fun. So and to answer your questions around leading that, man, it's been difficult because we don't know. We don't know what the future looks like. There's no blueprint. It's not an easy, and so I think you just have to lead with a sense of conviction and then submerged in humility. Guys, I think this is where we're going. I'm really not sure. And if we had a left turn, and hey, if you hear God and want to come and share with us because you've got ideas, please let us know. We're in this together. This is our church. God has asked us to pastor it, but this is our church. And so yeah.
I love that because I've really been thinking about, I mentioned it earlier about faith and how we were talking off camera, going to the States by the time this is released, even how that happened. Hayden, your mic is on, so if you do want to talk at any point, you can chip in. But you can ask Hayden. You can say hello to everyone, Hayden, through the mic.
Good evening, morning, afternoon.
Okay, I cannot hear you. Is your mic on?
Good evening, morning, afternoon.
There we go. We got you, bro.
Got you, bro.
But the one thing that Hayden can testify to is the fact that it happened in 2 days, 3 days.
Amazing.
What are we talking about again? What happened to
He wasn't even listening, Carl. How terrible.
Dude, is he the number one fan on this podcast? The miracle of America and all happening in 2 days.
Yes. Oh, wow.
Would love your thoughts.
Yeah, that was
that was crazy.
I was blown back by it.
Awesome.
And sad.
But it happened in 2 days. And the point I'm trying to get at is I remember telling Hayden I actually went to the young adult, so on Thursdays we gather, life group, it's amazing. I don't have to over elaborate because Cole just knows more than anyone. But Thursdays gathering, and I remember saying to them, right guys, who's going to come with me to the States? I'm going to try to go to one of the conferences in Tulsa, and who wants to come? I'm going to do it in crazy faith. And I'm just trusting God, and I love them all, and they know that, and I've said this to their face already. But they were like, "No, that's just a you thing, Steve. You just have that crazy faith or whatever." I said, "Well, I understand where you're coming from, but faith has grown piece by piece, small into big into bigger and bigger." And I said, "But we're going to do this together. You don't have to. No one bit, no one took that step." Literally 2 weeks later. Because it happened in 2-3 days. Came back to them and said, guys,
you could have been on a plane.
You could have been on a plane with me, and I'm going. And they were super stoked and whatever. But I think the point I'm trying to get at is one of the most powerful quotes when it comes to faith for me personally has been what's called crazy in one season will be called faith in another.
Sure.
You know,
That's cool.
and so like I'm thinking of how you guys are leading Sozo Church online, and it seems like crazy. Like we've just come out of COVID. Why are you
why going backwards, man? What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Like we can be in the building. Like just do it. Yeah.
Exactly. We can do an international tour to Germany, Belgium. You know,
Totally.
But I believe that it's reaching.
Yeah.
Especially like when people are hungry. When people are hungry, that is the best. I'd rather have like a life group of like 10 people who are starving for Christ than a room of 500 people who are distracted by the stage setup. You know, whatever it is. But maybe as we come to a close, just because of time, I'm just thinking of. I could ask that question, but I'd love to hear from you. Maybe what are some of the things you feel like God's doing in your life personally right now? I know He's doing a lot. I know you've shared a lot already about all different parts of your journey, which we're very thankful for.
Such a pleasure.
But in terms of like a thought process, I know you're a man who loves the stats and lessons, and you're a constant learner. What's something, let's say, that you've learned recently that's really added value to your life that you'd like to share?
Sure, that's a good question. Let me jump off the back of your faith statement.
Yeah.
So when we stepped out 2.5 years ago, Ephesians 3:20, that God's going to do more than we could ask, think, or imagine according to His power at work within us. And it's a wild statement, eh? Like, I mean, like, take God at His word. He's not a liar.
Yeah.
Like, and so, I think two thoughts for me is you never want to settle. So like even what you were saying with like what's called crazy in one season is faith in another. Like, I haven't had that language, but I like it and I'll adopt it and use it.
Yeah,
I'll, and you can quote me. It's my quote from now on. But when I think back on Truelife in the first couple of years, I remember people being like, what is this? Like, what are you doing? You're like, and now it's like guys will look at it and go like, wow, look what the impact. And, so I hold on to that for Sozo Church. But also with Sozo Church and, our congregation could be listening to this. And I've said this to them, like, it also could be a season.
Yeah.
Like if it is like, we just got to listen to God and do what God's called us to do.
Come on. Yeah.
But that Ephesians 3:20, we've been really wrestling with God because there's things in our hearts that we would like to see further along the track that aren't.
Right.
Breakthrough that we're hoping for. And I think it's easy to settle. Like I've seen how the busyness of life and having kids and family and like and settling in a groove, Truelife's doing this and church is doing that, and but I think God is calling us to pioneer and believe Him for things that are not yet seen, things that are not yet heard. So I think for me it's just about continuing to pioneer, continuing to trust Him. Man, I don't know. And if there is a way, I'd love to know it. But I don't know of a way that the next season doesn't require a complete emptying of yourself in the season you're in right now. And that is so difficult to continually do. And so you're like, God's going to do more than we could ask, think, or imagine. And if I look back on my life, He has done that repeatedly. Now I'm trusting Him for the next thing.
Yeah.
But in that trust, it's like a dying of self. It's like, I am not Truelife's provider. I am not the one that can make Sozo Church grow. Like I am not the one that can build a generational business empire in South Africa. I'm not.
Yeah.
He is. And so continue leaning on Him.
Wow. I think it's so powerful because and I know I'm saying that, but genuinely, like I really mean that, because I think I've seen, I think we've all experienced it personally, where like God gives you something and it's genuinely from the Lord, but you are holding it so tightly. It's like classic, analogy of not holding it with my, okay, He wants to switch it and put something better, or it might be smaller, but it's what my soul and heart need in that season, and then He'll take that and replace it with the new. And I think what you said so accurate. I relate to that very deeply right now because
Awesome.
I'm going
You're
in 2
about to.
days.
Yeah.
But that's literally what I mean, like I mentioned earlier, I had to put my savings and what it
Yeah.
seems so foolish to
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
And but I just how you referred back to what God did in Truelife.
Yeah.
That's how I think in the context of my last trip, where
Amazing.
I had friends and family who I love who were like,
Yeah.
what the heck are
Yeah.
you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, I'm trusting God.
Yeah. Awesome.
Like, what are you doing?
Awesome.
You know? And
Awesome.
and they were like,
Yeah.
okay, and almost fretting. And now with the testimony of last time, they go, wow, that was
Yeah.
faith. But in the moment,
Yeah.
what the heck are you
Yeah.
doing, dude?
Yeah.
And just clinging on to that is so important moving forward in each season, and it does empty you of everything. So like it's literally emptied me financially.
Yeah.
Like now
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
okay, Lord,
Yeah. But I really want to encourage you, because our faith is such a testimony, and your faith journey is such a testimony, because if you can do it for you, you can do it for me.
yeah,
And so like I walk away from this conversation going like, man, like, do I have a international dream here? Like, do I have a belief that God can do stuff that's like way, like, how crazy is my faith, you know? So, and you're not going to move everyone, but those that have hearts open and want to serve God, they are so moved by faith.
so true. And one of the like biblical references we mentioned in a previous one, but I think of Noah. It also looks so ridiculous in the world's eyes.
Totally.
So-
Never had rain before. Never
Never-
seen a boat before. Like, no, would have looked really foolish.
100%. And that's why I mentioned earlier, you know, he takes the foolish things and confounds the wise. And I thought, okay.
Yeah.
It's what you're saying, like every season, like, yes, we can grow weary and then never take that step into the next season. But
well,
it's
the name of the podcast is
the In-Sync Frequencies
Thank you.
podcast. Yes.
I knew that. I just didn't
Or
want to
the
mess it up.
ISF pod. It's fun.
And you think about frequencies, God is outside of time. And so the frequencies you're hearing are for tomorrow.
Wow.
And like, you know, the others, and sometimes God will just speak only to you.
Yes.
So it only makes sense to you.
That's good.
But
Cole.
you're
Yeah.
hearing those frequencies, and like, and I once remember hearing T.D. Jakes say that hesitation is from the devil.
Wow.
And like, we are so good at like, I'm gonna wait on the Lord.
Talk about it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we must wait on the Lord.
Absolutely.
But sometimes the Lord's waiting on us.
yeah.
Like, and we're hesitating, and we're like, and He's dropped that thought, and He's said, take courage and just do the thing, and have a crack, and even if it doesn't work out, return to me. Like, and so I think there's got to be a sense of like hearing those frequencies and just going. You know, I'd rather get it wrong trying to do something for God
With you on that.
than wait all the time until it's like being confirmed a million times.
I'm so with you. Another quote is Mike Todd said the other day. It was like, the only tragedy is not trying.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Totally.
I'm with you on that. I think what helps, or at least in my life with faith decisions, is I always try to picture like 10 years from the current moment, and I go, what would I be proud of from my decision that I need to make in this moment 10 years from now?
So good, eh? We've got a family saying, so if you ask any one of our kids now, they'll say we are the Edmonds family, and the Edmonds family, we are brave and kind and do what's right.
Come on.
And we chose those three things because we feel like in the world, it's what the enemy's had its biggest go at. So people are not brave, they're afraid.
Yes.
People are not kind, they are selfish. And people don't live with integrity. They cut corners, and there's like, and so for us, every single week we do a family audit on how were we brave, were we kind, and did we do what's right. And from when they could talk, we do a family audit at family night, and talk about like, how do we get intentional around that. And like, I want to raise kids that are courageous in their faith. To go, my courage is not on me and my faith, my courage is on Him. And Him, you know, proving true.
Wow.
So
that's amazing. I'm just thinking, wow, all those years, and now it's like
I'm a youth pastor all over again.
I
know. I'm in kids ministry, man. I would never want to be a teacher. Shout out to all the teachers out there.
Yeah, shout out to all the
They
teachers.
are a gift.
They are. Now I understand why they get holidays.
Totally. Totally.
It's like
They
one day I'm
deserve
like,
it.
oh Lord.
Yeah, they deserve it.
And that's just for like 2 hours on a Sunday.
Yeah.
That's not even like a full school day. But Carl, as we come to an end, maybe what's a scripture idea just off the top of your mind, or something that's kind of been stirring in your heart that's been speaking to you?
Cool.
And then as you share that, maybe you could just encourage someone who's listening as well.
Awesome. Look, I probably would have gone with Ephesians 3:20, but I've already shared that. So but I'll pull from so at our family night, it's always food and fun and faith and family. And so part of our faith is that we teach our kids to learn scripture. I'm a big believer that like, I'm going to try and, deposit a whole bunch of things into my kids, but one thing I can do is teach them scripture. And so the scripture we did this last week is, your word is a light to my path, a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. And the word of God is a gift. It's a gift. It like the beauty of the word is that we all get the same. It's not like one gets a degree and one gets a big house and one gets that opportunity. You don't get like a higher grade or standard grade Bible. You don't get a degreed Bible. You don't get a previously disadvantaged and affluent Bible. You just get the Bible. And so it doesn't matter where you are in the world, whatever is happening in your life, whatever your background is, study the scriptures. Because that's what the scripture is saying. It says the word of God is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path.
So good.
And it's such a big question for young people, is like, God, what do you want me to do? What am I meant to do? And like, it's going to be found through the word. And I'm so glad you got that on the podcast, because and I'm so glad you got a physical Bible as well, like, because I have a friend of mine, Hilt, who actually was pastoring with, he said he moved from his phone, and I haven't done this yet, but he moved from his phone back to this so that his kids knew he wasn't just on Facebook, that he was reading his Bible. But this is amazing. I mean, where is it? I think it's in Joshua. It says that when we must meditate on this word day and night, and we will find ourselves being successful in everything that we do. And like, I wish that this next generation took that opportunity, that promise, that absolute word of God more seriously, and studied this word.
So true.
The other thing to note is that even once doing that, it doesn't say it's a spotlight to my future. It's like, man, he'll just step by step, And I think for when it comes to purpose, which is a massive topic around like the next gen, I think the purpose is a lot less about what you do and a lot more about who you are. And so purpose is found in every day. Like, if you want to know what God has for you, stop asking him, what does the future look like? And ask him, what do you need me to do today? That's purpose. God, this is the day that you have made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Like, you've literally made today. What do you need me to do? We speak about closing triangles at our church, and closing triangles is basically that somebody sent a prayer up to God. God has then spoken to me. And if I don't move, the triangle never closes.
So
and like,
good.
we need to close triangles. Like, what a gift every single day. God, not what can you do for me, but what can I do for you? You'll find such purpose in that. The grand picture, the big moment, the thing that God has for you will be found in the everyday purpose.
That's so powerful. So good. I was thinking of that scripture in Joshua. Even when Joshua first hears it, God says it again, literally like 5 verses later. He says again, meditate on my word day and night, day and night. And one of the things that has always stood out to me is like how, if the enemy can get you in the morning, he's got your day.
Totally.
That's
and really good.
If he gets you at night, he's got your night. And it's like, it's amazing how like the Lord reminds you over and over, every day. And it's like transformed by the renewing of your mind. Like, it's just
so important.
It's that simple. I just thinking all the scriptures, so man thinketh he is. So if I'm not thinking in the present and what he's got today. I love that analogy of the triangles though. Just like very powerful. I've never heard that before. So that's amazing.
It's such a nice way for us to see that, and I guess a wake up call in some ways, that people have prayed prayers.
Yeah.
God's responded.
Mm.
It's me who hasn't moved.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and so the joy of being the person who closes the triangle is that you are elated, the person is elated, and God is elated. It's like a triple. Like it's incredible. So so let's go and close some triangles.
Come on, it's so good, so good. And then when you do that, like you said, like faith inspires faith. It just
Totally.
Yeah, it's amazing. The amount of times I've heard someone else test me, I'm like, oh yeah, I can believe for that in my own life too. You know.
Yeah.
So good. But anyway, I think we're gonna come to an end.
Cool.
Because we are. Wow, look at that. 5 minutes to 10.
You've done well.
That's crazy. That's really good. Carl, thank you so much for coming on.
Always a pleasure.
I really appreciate you coming on and making the time. You've always been someone who I've always admired and looked up to from afar, should I say, because obviously I was here based in Pound Town. But every time you would preach, I was so locked in. In fact, I remember the one time you're like, you really lock in.
That's awesome.
to the preach.
Awesome.
A couple of years back. But also just your heart for you and Krista have been instrumental in terms of.
Isn't she amazing?
Yeah.
She's a gift.
She's one of my.
She's an absolute gift to this generation.
Her leadership is, it's done wonders in my own life.
Yeah.
But in the same breath, I want to say that you as well, you've also
thank you, man.
inspired me to fight for keeping God central in this generation and not just like ChatGPT. He's not just information.
Yeah.
He's a person.
Yeah.
Get to know him.
Yeah. Awesome.
So thank you so much for your time, energy, and
such a pleasure. And I can't wait to hear what God does in and through you in America.
Thank you.
Really, it's exciting.
Thank you.
Go in such faith and courage, man. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, everybody, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Stephen Rudis van Lennep, very long surname, and Colin Edmonds, episode 5 of season 2. Thank you so much. And as always, the Patreon links and everything are down if you would like to help out financially. But if you just received and felt super encouraged from this episode, why not share it with a friend? Awesome. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next one.